Hello, Comanche29 here with another Topic of the Week video. This week I'll be talking about a certain movie with giant space Smurfs. This week's topic was submitted by YouTube user Mariana Gonzalez, and their topic is, your next topic should be why James Cameron's Smurfs movie sucks. Now that's an overrated movie. Oh boy is it. Now, when talking about James Cameron's Smurfs, James Cameron's Pocahontas, James Cameron's Avatar. That movie, when it came out, was huge. Like, it made a bunch of money. I don't remember how much money it made, but I remember it made a lot of money. It was like this big event. And then everyone forgot about it. It's so funny. Like, this movie was such a big deal, and I went and I saw it, and it wasn't good. It's mediocre at best as a movie. Like, to be fair, on a technical level, the CGI is good. The designs of all the alien stuff, that's cool and stuff. I mean, the 3D effect was good. But as a movie, it's just terrible. It works better as just like a tech demo. If this was a tech demo for 3D filmmaking, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. I mean, it would be neat and all, to see it, but without the 3D, you're just looking at a dull movie. There's a lot of reasons why this movie sucks. I made the joke earlier, but it does rip off a lot from Pocahontas. Now, I remember a few years back that I saw that someone had taken like a summary of Pocahontas, and they were scratching out like names and replacing it with the ones from Avatar, and it was pretty accurate. It's just, for a movie that James Cameron was bragging about, because I remember he came on stage on this one event or something. Was it a gaming event? I think this was a while ago, but anyway, he came on. He was bragging about this movie and stuff. And he was talking about how he had this movie planned for like a decade or something. I think he said that about this movie, and it doesn't show. Like, if it feels like he watched Pocahontas and he's like, I have an idea, and then made this movie. Like, this movie doesn't feel like it has passion behind it. This movie doesn't feel like the story is inspired. It doesn't even feel like it's doing anything remotely interesting. It's so bland and boring. The main character, Jake Sully, took me a minute, because frankly, you know what? That is actually the only name that I can remember. I can't remember a single other character's name from this movie. I mean, I've actually watched this movie multiple times over the years, and I, for the life of me, cannot remember anyone's name other than Jake Sully. Anyway, Jake Sully is this guy, and he's crippled, but he had a twin who was going to be part of this program, and because his twin died or something, I think, this movie is so forgettable. Like, I remember I watched it like a year or two ago, and I'm usually pretty good with remembering details, but this movie is so freaking forgettable. Maybe that explains why no one can remember this movie. But it's like, okay, the sheer coincidence that his twin brother who was going to this program, and he goes in, and then he goes into his avatar body. And okay, let me be fair here. The actual idea of a crippled guy being able to basically live through this alien body that was created for him, that allows him to move and run and jump and do all the things that he hasn't been able to do in so long, that's an interesting idea. And you could make a solid sci-fi story based explicitly around that concept. And they kind of touch on it here and there in the movie, but it feels like one of those classics like sci-fi studies where you would, it feels like something that you would read in like an old sci-fi like short story about a guy. It's something like akin to like, The Sound of Thunder. where, you have a short story that sort of explores some ideas. And there's a lot you can really do with that, like the exploration of that and the feeling of belonging more in this alien body than in your own because you can't walk. Like, okay, that's an interesting idea. Jake Sully is bland. He's played by that one actor and that one actor's kind of fine, but in this movie he's so utterly dull. And there's not really a lot going on with his character. I mean, it's like he follows such a basic character arc. Just, he meets the natives, and he's supposed to, use this to help the evil greedy people. But then he finds that he sides with the natives and fights against the evil greedy people. It just feels so generic. And for a movie that has a lot going on in the technical level, and it's not like there's no creativity at all in this movie. The creativity is just lacking in the writing. Just the movie looks beautiful, but that's just it. There's a lot of really very pretty effects. There's a lot of good 3D effects, but that's it. I feel bad bringing this up because this movie isn't as bad as it. But it reminds me of Prometheus, or one of the few things I could give that movie was, the CGI was kind of good. It's like, this stuff, you can buy that stuff. You can pay people to do really good CGI work. And that's just it, though. You can pay for that stuff. The movie, Avatar has high production value. But just with a lot of stuff, production value doesn't equal quality. Legend of Korra had high production value. Doesn't make it good. Having money involved in a project can make it look nice. Oh, another good example. Resident Evil 6. A lot of high production value in that game. Cutscenes look great. It looks wonderful. The game sucks. It's a pretty terrible Resident Evil game. And that's my point. You can have a lot of money to up the production value. You can make the game, or in this case, the movie, look really good. But at the end of the day, it's not good. I mean, it's like there's so much to... I want to talk about the story, but the story is so paper thin. And it's like, I feel like it's just a string of the most generic, boring cliches you can throw together. Especially the main guy falls in love with the daughter of the chief. Just I mean, this movie is just a cliche storm. Like I said, Jake Sully's not a very interesting character. He fulfills a lot of generic stuff. And even the stuff that's actually interesting is just the stuff relating to him being paralyzed but then feeling free in the body. That one part is actually kind of interesting, and it has a lot of potential. That potential isn't really capitalized on it, and they just end up transferring his mind into the alien body anyway, so it ends up becoming a complete non-issue. But there's no exploration of any of the real negative effects of it. Okay, his body is deteriorating, but then he just dumps it anyway, so there's no real anything behind that. Just, and I feel really bad that I probably should have watched this movie directly before making this, because when I'm trying to recall specific story elements, I don't remember them. I mean, I remember a lot. I remember a decent amount of this movie, but the whole movie is just so freaking forgettable. Okay, there is a big issue with this. The whole environmentalist message. Oh my gosh. I hate a poorly done environmentalist message in a movie or in fiction. You can do it well. I mean, Avatar The Last Airbender had some strong environmentalist messages in some episodes. And that's still an amazing show. Voltron had one part, I believe it was in season 1. Oh yeah, the whole the Balmera stuff. You have environmental stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's cramming an environmentalist message down your throat. So that stuff feels natural to the story. In Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, not Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's the good Avatar. You have these native people, all pure good. Humans, evil, bad. And like nature, good. Technology, bad. And it's one of those things where they make the mistake of all of the people who are good all agree on like a certain moral that is being pushed. But in this case, it's so black and white. You have, we want to just go in and help the natives. Okay, that's nice. But then the bad guys, it's not just that, they're antagonists. Because you can make an interesting conflict between the native people and the humans. But the humans are all just these evil capitalists. And that's the other thing. This movie has this weird anti-capitalist thing where, the business guy is just so, like, evil and doesn't care, and they'll all just commit genocide as long as they can get money. And James Cameron, you make a bunch of money off of movies in a capitalist system, and then in this capitalist system where you make money, you're criticizing capitalism. That doesn't make sense. How does that make sense? This is the weird thing with the politics. It's like you want to have a movie that criticizes the very thing that you are taking advantage of and using to make money. I mean, because of capitalism, like, oh gosh, sometimes it just hurts my head. Like, they really do that. Like, I remember the main guy. Oh, shoot. I was gonna say the actor's name, but I can't remember his name either. He always kind of plays an obnoxious guy, and he always wants unobtainium. Oh shoot, I need to talk about unobtainium too. But he wants money. They want money. That's all they want. Money, 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 money. And they're like Captain Planet villains. They're just so evil just for the sake of being evil. And it's like, it almost feels like we need someone who's so evil that you literally, just merely being opposed to them makes you good guy. I mean, you can have pure evil guys. I mean, in some stories, this really does work. Look at Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Just basically evil. And that works. That's because the story is really good, and there's a lot more depth than just that. But with Avatar, there's no depth to these villains. There's not really any depth to the good guys either. There's not even any real depth to the natives, and some of the stuff just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Speaking of not making a lot of sense, unobtainium. Okay, so I understand the idea that there's a rare mineral that is worth a hell of a lot of money to humans. Calling it unobtainium is creatively bankrupt. You could have just called it anything. Anything that was even remotely close to unique. Anything that has semblance of identity to it. Unobtainium. How does this unironically make it into a big budget movie like this? Wouldn't someone have said, that sounds kind of stupid? That almost feels like something when you're writing down your notes on the movie and it's just like, it's something that's unobtainable. Okay, it's unobtainium. I'll name it later. That's not something that makes it into the final script. And I don't want to say this movie feels like a first draft because it really doesn't. It has, story. It fulfills things on a technical level where there is a story. It does have some flow. But all the flow is so generic and everything feels like it's just like, we're doing this checklist. We're fulfilling the checklist, guys. Like us? But, like, the only way to get unobtainium is to just destroy everything, because of course it is. If this mineral is going to be so important to the story, couldn't you have at least given it some name? Calling it something like crystal obsidian or something, even something stupid like that. Or nexium, or just something made up. Sounds anything, literally anything sounds better than unobtainium. Just, oh my gosh, James Cameron, you really thought this was good. The only character in this entire movie that I liked was the crazy colonel guy. I wish I could remember his name. He was so just like, "Bah, look, I'm the mean military guy." And it was so funny. It was comedy. And like, especially at the end when he's like in the mech and he's like knife fighting with the mech. It was so stupid. But like, I wanted him to kill Jake. I wanted him to kill Jake and I wanted him to win. Just because he was such an absurd, he was a cartoon character. And that was probably one of the reasons why he was so fun, is that in this movie full of dull characters, he's the only one that really stood out. I mean, yeah, he's the bad guy. He's so cartoonishly bad. But that's what makes it so fun. And frankly, this movie, I was just looking for anything that I could get attached to that I enjoyed. I just never felt anything in this movie other than boredom and just kind of mild annoyance. I mean, you have actors like Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver's in this. Oh my gosh, why are you wasting Sigourney Weaver? And you have her play this doctor character who's was she trying to learn the customs of the natives? You see what I mean? I can't remember much of this movie. But it's like, you know, she's so good. Like the character is so pure good, and it's like, okay, none of the good guys have any real faults, and all the bad guys don't have anything redeemable about them. You set up this stupid black and white conflict. I mean, for all he copies Pocahontas at least showed you have good and bad people on both sides. It's not like you have this one human who's like the only really good person, and then you have maybe a couple other humans. But then, you know, all the people who are the designated bad guys are all evil. Like, you know, at least it had the decency to show, yeah, you know, these people are going to go to war over trivial stuff. And, you know, they're all going to start killing each other over stupid crap. It's like, but this, it's like you pick a side. The Na'vi. God, every time I hear that, I just think, hey, listen! Because Na'vi, I don't know, the naming of stuff in this movie just felt generic. Just generic sci-fi fantasy. I wish that the people who handled a lot of like the environmental stuff and all the CGI for that, I really wish that they had a better movie to put their work towards, because if those people who put all that hard work are in this stupid crappy movie. I mean, the Na'vi are all good. I mean, some of them are like kind of angry, and I think there was one guy who was, I swear I remember there was a Pocahontas character like him, the guy who didn't like Jake. I mean, there's always that character who's part of the like indigenous group who really doesn't like, or that one, the new group, the foreign group, who doesn't like the main character and challenges him. I mean, shoot, even Troll Hunters has that with Drawl. You know, when he's the son of the previous Troll Hunter, so when I watched Troll Hunters fairly recently, the main character, but like when he comes in as the first human Troll Hunter, then the Drawl doesn't like that, so he challenges him before his respect is earned. I mean, it's a generic trope. You see this a lot. And Avatar just kind of throws this stuff in. And I mean, like, it was always kind of stupid. Like, you have all of the humans with all their technology just come and decimate things. And then they were like, let's rally all the Na'vi. And then they come and they just destroy the humans and drive them off. And I mean, okay, that kind of stuff can happen. But I have a hard time believing this, but I don't want to root for the Na'vi. I don't care about the Na'vi. I don't really care much about the humans. I care about the Colonel guy. If he was the last man standing, I just would have been, well, I guess he's a tough nut to crack. And that's stupid. Because what they want you to do is they want you to really care about the Na'vi, and they spend a lot of time on that. But I really don't. I didn't find anything to really care about in this movie. Aside from the Colonel guy. And when you're rooting for a villain to kill your main hero, you have failed. You have failed in storytelling, because I should really be rooting for Jake to kill this bad guy. But Jake's a dull character. Oh no, I feel my body deteriorating. That's okay, because I just stick my mind inside of an alien body and there's no repercussions, there's no consequences. There's nothing interesting to really explore in that. I mean, if you really broke down this movie to to a few components, like I said, with the whole Jake being a paralyzed guy who ends up putting his mind in an alien body so he can walk around, you can have some interesting ideas here. I mean, even like the idea about like the Na'vi have that hair thing that they stick in to connect it to the animals, and they can like connect to them. I guess that could be weird in certain I guess that could be interesting in certain contexts, but here it just seems kind of weird and dumb. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered to bring this up, because I would have kicked myself if I forgot. The alien hair sacks. You can't not talk about this movie and not bring up that stupid scene. Jake and what's-her-face, Blue, I believe she was played by Zoe Saldana. They end up having, they connect their hair. And then it wrinkles together and... Yeah, that seems really weird. Like, really, guys? It's like they wanted, like a PG sex scene, but they're like, wait a minute, we don't want to put a sex scene in, that would bump our rating up. Then they're like, let's just have them have hair sacks. Like, you have this stupid stuff. Like, the idea that, like, the people, like the Na'vi, these aliens can connect to these, other animals. You know, there is potential in that. And that's something that's so stupid about this movie. Individually, you have these things that could make for interesting stories on their own, or even put together. But the movie is handled in such a generic way, and James Cameron, oh my gosh, James Cameron, come on. You've made good movies before. But this just felt like James Cameron was phoning it in. Or I think more accurately, I think you can say that James Cameron cared more about the special effects than he did about the story. Even though he bragged about the story, you don't brag about something like this. The movie just sucks. The characters are bland and two-dimensional. The good guys, mostly, like, the good humans are just... I'm trying to even remember the differences. I think, because you had Jake, you had Sigourney Weaver, you had... I think there was one guy that had a beard. These characters are all forgettable. I don't care about... Oh, I think Michelle Rodriguez was in this movie, too. Oh, I think she was like one of the pilot. Or they ended up dying because... Sure, why not? Just kill her off, I guess. But shoot, like, these characters... Like, I should really like these characters. Okay, in Rogue One, you're introduced to a new cast of characters that haven't been in anything Star Wars related before. And I care about all of those characters. Some people criticize them for not being good enough. I honestly really like all those characters, especially like Chirrut. I like Jin. I like Cassian. I like Boz. I like Bodhi. I like these characters. I like K2. I like these characters, and in one movie, it got me to care about all these characters who end up dying in a heroic sacrifice for the greater good. Well, shoot, like, then why can't Avatar even get me to care about a couple of these characters? I only care about the villain, the Colonel guy, because he's just ridiculous, and he's the only character that's even remotely entertaining. It's like, it almost feels like a parody at some points of just how generic it is. But it's taking itself way too seriously to do that. So you can't even work it on that angle, because the movie is just, it's trying to be a good story. It's trying to be an interesting, emotional story. Unfortunately, it's a story we've already seen before. And it's a story that's already been done better. And if you're going to be doing it, put a more interesting spin on it than Space Smurfs. It's like, there's a hodgepodge of ideas, a big melting pot of things that could potentially be interesting. Actually, I just thought of something. A good way to describe Avatar is that it's less than the sum of its parts. You can take individual bits and go, oh, that's pretty good. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. But then when the way it's combined together, it lessens all of that. All the interesting stuff. It's made less interesting by the way it's handled in the movie. James Cameron's Avatar is in fact less than the sum of its parts. And that should never be the case. You shouldn't be looking at this and said, well, I'd like it if it wasn't for everything this movie did. Well, is there anything I need to bring up with this movie? I'm pretty sure I covered the main points. I didn't talk about the alien hair sex. That was weird. That was really weird, James Cameron. But I think that's about it for this topic. If you want to submit a topic to me, you can comment below. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Tumblr, send me an ask and put topic : then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Just make sure to follow the rules I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. So what are your thoughts on James Cameron's giant space Smurfs? Did you like it? Probably not. If you don't like it, please tell me why. And thank you for watching.